Um, Thanks for joining the CATS Personal Financial Management Series. Today, the topic will be on business insurance. But before we get started with our guest speaker who is going to present, I just want to read the disclaimer. CATS is not a certified financial advisor, nor an insurance advisor, and any content that is presented here today should be considered as informational purposes only. This should not be construed as legal, financial, tax, investment, or any other advice. You should be dealing with your own financial advisor or your own insurance agent for those specific needs. With that, let's go to the next slide, please. So today's session is on business insurance, the whys and how and what. To help us through that, we are joined by Sri Parth Pathak. He is a CAT sponsor, and he has his business insurance business. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sri Parthji. Parthji, please get started with the next slide.
Thank you very much. And I really appreciate this opportunity to come on this forum and present my ideas and views. Thank you very much, Katz. So I'm going to start this presentation, and I think the whole intent behind this presentation is to educate our community on what is the purpose and what is the intent behind business insurance. So the first slide, I think it poses a very good question. It's like, what is a business insurance? Is it an expense or is it an asset? And this is our experience for last 15 years when we talk to small and medium-sized businesses. I think a lot of business owners kind of think, business insurance as more of an expense. And today I'm going to make some points, at least, that is going to, curate certain thoughts in everyone's minds that no, it's not an expense. It's more of a asset if it is utilized right. So as I said, insurance is always viewed as an expense to cover potential damages. It's like, oh, I have to pay insurance policy premium. As opposed to, foresighted viewpoint mentioned above, the insurance is an asset actually, because it responds when something unforeseen happens, such as, fire, prosecution of negligence of professional judgment, accident, or whatnot. It is the, biggest put option we have when something unforeseen happens. And, this unforeseen expense are huge, and if not, insured, could adversely affect the company in few cases to the extent of liquidation. So I want to take a pause on expenses that see unforeseen, circumstances and expenses. It comes in every business, in different verticals. When you talk about a small and mid-sized business, sometime unforeseen expenses could be, matter of, you are being in the business or you're going out of the business. If you're a large-sized business or you're a mid-sized business, which is well capitalized, maybe they can get through this hurdle. So it is more imperative in the present time that we think of risk as an, important aspect. So, it's business insurance like a safety belt, which offers financial protection to the business from various risks. I think we all agree, and I think you guys will agree with me, business is not about just making profit. When you are in the business, you are earning, you're making profits, you see certain risks. And it is equally important to safeguard these risks to be constantly being profitable. So I think the point being is that to all the business owners or who are on the call, change your viewpoint. This in current economy, you need this safety belt, and business insurance does provide that. So with that, Durga, can we go to the next slide? So this slide talks about why do we need? I mean, I think we all agree that risk mitigation is important, but what is besides the risk mitigation? So, I mean, it's first and foremost, whether you are a product business or you are a service business or you are in between, or if you are in some, a niche business, most of the states require, it's a law in most of the states to have some type of business liability insurance. Besides being law, it protects your employees. It's, it guards your human assets, and, it helps attract and retain employees. And we're going to talk about, what are the, employee retention type of insurances versus, what are the protectionist insurances. It covers the act of God. It, contracts may require it. Most, most of the contracts, as per my understanding, requires certain level of insurance, maybe business insurance, error renovation insurance, some liability insurance if you require, if you're using some transportation type of services. If your business owns some vehicle, it requires the business auto insurance. And so the point is being, it contracts has a very important part, and that is insurance and risk mitigation. If you own a very decent insurance policy, you look fairly credible to the vendors. People will, all the businesses, if you do a big deals, there is a very big assessment criteria that says how you do risk mitigation. So having a right type of coverages makes you look credible. I mean, one of the facts of life, whether we like it or not, is that anybody and anyone can get sued, being for various reasons. So I think that is given, and you cannot predict the future. So risk mitigation is about, you don't know what is happening. I mean, in that 2019, someone would have said that in 2020 going to bring all these challenges. We would have laughed and said, no, it's not possible. So I think it's what the point being, future is, you cannot predict the futures, and there are uncertainties. So it's better to be safe and sorry. With that said, let's move to the next slide. So what is our vision? I think I've covered, what is the importance of business insurance? What are the things that drive the consumption, or, that requires you to get a business insurance? I mean, what is the vision? Because insurance is an insurance. There are limits, there are liabilities, there are addendums, there are clauses. So how do Pathak Insurance sees as a, insurance? So one thing I think I've seen in our journey is that the most expensive insurance is the insurance that doesn't perform when you need it. I mean, I think most of us have our experiences where you go through an event and you expect, oh, my insurance gonna cover this, and this happens on the health insurance side quite a bit, and then you see a big bill. So our philosophy is that that's the most expensive insurance. You bought something on the pretext of coverage, and it doesn't pay off when you really need it. So this is the most expensive insurance. Like, again, what is the vision? The thinking of insurance asset instead of simply as an expense. And we want to change everybody's perspective for a better long-term decision. So when you make a long-term strategic decisions, risk mitigation is very important. And this is the instrument you use for risk mitigation. So what is bottom line? Not all insurances are the same, or reinsurances are the same. Like I said initially, there are coverage limits, there are restrictions, there are addendums, there are liabilities. So there is no one cookie cutter insurance for a business. I mean, if you're a service business, your insurance need is going to be very different. If you're a product business, your needs are going to be very different. If you're in a trading business, your needs are going to be very different. If you're in IT business, your needs are going to be different. And I think it's more about a configuration. You need to look at your business, you need to understand your risk, and then you need to configure this policies so that it protects, it's planned, provide the future planning, and it helps you clarity drive. So that's the vision we have. And it's a very simple vision. I think most of the entrepreneurs go through that journey. So why are we saying that it's important? What we have seen. So this is the statistics from the Insurance Bureau. What we have seen, and these numbers come from the Insurance Bureau, that 75% of US businesses are underinsured. Like this is given the fact, and I think COVID crisis kind of validated this first bullet point, that a lot of businesses during this crisis came under tremendous financial and liquidity pressure, and they haven't had a right insurance to protect for the rainy day. I mean, when we speak, some of you can agree with me that a lot of businesses are going through this struggle. So this is very realistic scenario. Now, second point, 40% of business insurance owners have no insurance at all. So I've come across this, and I've come across many of small business owners who started something, providing a service, and then soon this business picks up, but they usually don't realize that, okay, Then in this country, to do anything, you probably need a license. You need a registration of a company, and then when you do a registration of company, you need some type of insurance to cover your risk. Approximately, or more than a third of small business experience an event yearly that leads to an insurance claim. Small, large, or medium. This is the table explains different, insurance or claim event. So if you are in service business and your client complains, or your contract gets into a dispute, this is a very common, probably one of the most common causes for your personal liability insurance to incur a claim. And again, I think contract disputes are rising due to current economic situation. A lot of time, client or your customer file a complaint, and then you need a professional liability insurance if you're in professional, if you provide in the service business. And what percent of business are covered today? Probably they have adequate coverage. 22 to 23% of business have the right professional liability insurance. Employee injury. This is probably one of the most talked about subject in the current days, because we all know that lately the whole working, going to the office scene changed dramatically. Now your house is your office, and every company is thinking about going in a more of a long-term trajectory where they don't want to own the real estate. They want your employees to work. So if your employee is working from home and goes through some injury, who's liable? I think that's a big debate point even in the industry, that somebody is working from home, gets injured, who's liable? Your workman's compensation insurance or your home insurance? And long story short, workman's compensation insurance needs to have this clause, and probably 10% is on the higher side. I think there are a lot of workman's compensation policies that don't cover work from home scenario. So that's something which is happening right now, that every employer, probably not on the small business side, but mid and large businesses, are thinking that do we need to restructure our workman's compensation policy? Similarly, burglary and theft. I mean, I don't have to talk about that, but this happens all the time. You own a commercial property, gas stations, liquor stores, some other type of businesses. This is a very high risk scenario. They usually experience a burglary or theft, firestorm damage, or cracked pipes. I mean, this is property damages are happening, and actually winter is the time where most of these cracked pipe issue surfaces. One of our customers had it last year. They had couple of servers, they had couple of pretty high performing compute systems in their small data center, and then the floor above that kind of had a cracked pipe, and then that burned out some of their services. So these things happen all the time, and probably 6 to 7% of businesses annually experience this issue. Customer injury, your general liability insurance needs to cover this. And product that cause injury or damage is a product liability. If you are a product company, if you are building an actual physical product, your product liability insurance is probably a requirement in most of the states, and most of the companies take that, because if your product can cause an injury, the litigation cost is exponential. And if you build a generic product that is consumed by multiple customers, these type of claims can result in a class action lawsuit. So the idea is that depending on the type of risk, your business probably is exposed to these type of risk. And if you see the percent of small business covered, not many. So this is something that every small business owner, every professional, every independent consultant who's providing a professional service needs to relook at these risks and understand that what is their liability could be given things go south. So with that said, I'll move it to my next slide. I hope I made a point about what a risk mitigation is. So this is the previous slide talked about, hey, what are the risks? What are the different type of risk? And I think I've explained the different types of policies covering different type of risks. But at the end of the day, how do you mitigate this risk? So this slide I have just made list of business products that cover these type of lists. And as I was saying in my previous slides, there are two types of insurance coverages. One that protects business, and the other covers employee. So let's talk about the business insurance. So workers' compensation or workmen's compensation insurance. If you have employee, almost all 50 states require you to have a workers' compensation. That is a requirement. So if you have employee, you need to have a workers' compensation. Now, this worker compensation depends on the type of business you are. If you are a manufacturing business, your workman compensation liabilities are really high. If you are a IT company, maybe your liabilities are low and your cost is low. But this is a requirement. If you are in state of Virginia, Maryland, DC, New Jersey, Northeast, I think general liability or business insurance is a must. If you are providing a service or if you're providing a product, you need to have a general liability insurance. Again, that's another mandate that is required. If you are in the customer service segment, general liability insurance is the prerequisite to initiate any of the contracts. Error and omission, and this is probably the most relevant insurance considered our demographics. We have a lot of people in IT, a lot of people providing services, a lot of companies providing consulting services, especially in our demographics. A lot of people do have a consulting or a staffing firm. Error and omission it's one of the biggest mandates and requirements in the service business. I mean, as an insurance agency, we need to carry an error and omission, and so do if you're in a service business, and if your team is working on a big multi-million-dollar project, and if they make mistake, the liabilities could be exponential. So error and omission is the insurance that every IT service company should think about. I mean, a lot of times we have seen companies bought error and omission insurance 3 years ago when they were a really small company, and then all of a sudden they experience a big growth. And when they go into an event like A&O, they expose themselves to big liabilities. Crime insurance, again, that's when you hire up independent contractors and they involved in some type of crime. Crime insurance is your safety net. Cyber liability, this is becoming a requirement. With cyber theft increasing every day, cyber liability insurance is highly recommended, and for the certain businesses, it is absolutely required. If you are in IT space, you're providing services, companies require you to have a cyber liability insurance. Recently, many states have implemented many stringent control. If you as a company, even a small business, experience a cyber event, you as a business, you need to report it to the we need to report it to the right authorities. Depending on the crime, there is enough documentation is required. So cyber liability is something that is gaining traction, considering number of cyber thefts are happening. And it is the problem that even large enterprises are facing, but it is coming to the middle market and small businesses, where hackers are figuring out way to steal client data. And if those events happen, small businesses are at huge risk. Commercial auto, if auto is owned, you're required to have a commercial auto, and then umbrella is like its overarching coverage that if any of your policies don't pay, umbrella is your real umbrella to take care of all your overlaps. So these are the different types of business insurance. Depending on the vertical segment type of business, it varies, but these are the risks and these are the answers to some of your risk. So anyone who runs a small or mid-sized business needs to think about these protection plans, and probably need to get it, because when you have these events and you don't have adequate coverage, things get messy pretty quick. So this is about, I protect my business, I protect my profits, I make sure that in the rainy day I have some protection. But there are other types of insurance which we deal with. Is that if you have employees, you need to provide certain insurances. I am sure everybody is aware of Obamacare, and the requirements are constantly changing. But when Obamacare was initially implemented, 2014, I think companies above 15 were required by law to provide health insurance to their employees. And they said, if you were working 30 hours, you become eligible to receive a health insurance from your employer. So health insurance it's something, it's a very important aspect of maintaining and retaining employees. Disability insurance, if you guys are aware, there are short-term and long-term disabilities, and most of the credible employers do offer these coverages, because if your employee becomes a short-term or a long-term disabled, there has to be a plan in place, or a benefit provided by the employer that allows the employee to recover fully and become eligible to do the work. So disability insurance, short and long-term disability insurance, are very important. Most of the decent companies do have a very decent coverage to do the income replacement in case employee experience a disability, short term or a long term. And term life, again, it's a term life insurance. Is the life insurance which is allowed for the term you are with the company. And a lot of companies are offering the term life insurance to their employees equivalent to their annual salary. The idea is that in the event of untimely death, term life insurance, provides some required coverage or required umbrella to the employee's family. So these are the different types of coverages that are available in the marketplace, and these are very relevant to small and mid-sized businesses. Some of these insurances are mandated. Some of the insurances are good to have, and some of this insurance needs to be crafted to your demand. It's very important that companies with 10 and 15 employees, they are worried about employee retention, and they use certain strategies to provide a richer benefit to keep those employees on board. So with that said, I'll go to my next slide. This slide is just a little bit of offspring. This slide is talks about besides business insurances and employer insurances, we offer financial advisor service, which is a separate department in our business. But I wanted to bring it out that this is very relevant. Being profitable is one thing as a business owner, but you need to think about your investment strategy, tax saving optimization, down market protection. So we have a separate stream in our company that helps all is business owners as well as all the employees to protect for the future. We provide innovative and industry disruptive solution in middle America and beyond. So what does that mean is that we help people improve their financial future, empower with decisioning, leveraging key financial concepts. This is not about we are coming and selling you a life insurance. This is about where you are, where you want to be, and how do you want to get there. We provide one-on-one consultation with our financial advisors. Essentially, it's completely free. It's 1 hour consultation, and we don't expect try to sell you everything. This is all concept based. We do offer comprehensive financial products in the life insurance, annuities, and other alternative investment classes. It's like we have a very big portfolio of services. And we work with, and I think next slide will cover, but we work with the top ranking insurance providers. So we are a truly independent agency. We are not captive by any nature. So we work with all top rated insurance carriers, and we are for our customers. We are liable, we are responsible, we are advisable. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. If you're not talking, can you please mute it? Thank you. So this is another solution. We bring it to the table to what it includes. It includes investment strategies. It's purely consultative. We have a tax saving or optimization strategy. This applies to most of the businesses. If you're a business, you're profitable, what are the ways you can save taxes and optimize your output? What if your what is, like I said, what we provide a put option type of solution. If market goes down, economy crashes, your business uh, experience a recession, we have certain down market protection strategies available. We help with the retirement planning. I think most of the business owners, they lack retirement planning concept, because if you own a business and if you're a sole proprietor, usually you don't have a SEP 401k or SEP IRA, and then soon they realize that, oh, we're just putting $5,000 to $6,000 in our IRA, and then they realize that, oh, that's not adequate. So we have certain retirement planning strategies for a business owner, retirement planning strategies for people who work on jobs. We do real estate investment and college savings plan, life insurance. So long story short, what we are trying to say is that once you ensure you have adequate protection, it also equally important to look down the curve and plan your financial future. And that is the second vertical we work in, and that is the second type of coverage we provide. So can we go to the next slide? So this is a quick summary, and we try to jam everything we could in this one slide. But this is the summary of our business. This is the summary of Pathak Insurance Agency. So who are we? I mean, Pathak Insurance is a Virginia-based independent insurance agency specialized in individual and personal lines. I mean, what we're trying to say is that we are an independent agency. We have office in Virginia, and we are licensed to write insurance policies in Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Texas. We recently added Nevada. So we are a company that is capable of writing different policies in different states. What is the summary of value proposition? Is like, what is our value proposition? The first is like, we are a truly independent agency. We are committed to our clients and our customers. We are not committed to any of the insurance companies. We take care of service work and act as the insurance back office. So most of the small or mid-sized businesses, they don't have bandwidth to hire somebody for compliance. They don't have a bandwidth to hire do all the compliance or required insurance paperwork. So we work as an insurance back office to small and mid-sized businesses, taking all that lengthy paperwork away from them. We are a one-stop shop for all business insurance. I think there's a lot of insurance I talked about. I mean, at the end of the day, we provide all these coverages and services to our customers. We are appointed with all major insurance carriers. I mean, in our 14 years since 2003, we work with all major carriers in all the markets. I mean, you're going to see partnership, but I think we have like more partners than we can list on this slide. If we all A-rated carriers, and this has been a journey for us. We started really small with my father, and eventually we build the volume for different carriers to come and work with us. So I mean, if all top-rated carriers, we work with them, we are appointed, and our specialty is sourcing cost-effective coverage for service businesses. So what I mean to say is that providing service is one thing, but we are also cost conscious. We understand that getting all the insurances is not the right thing. We know that what to recommend, what is needed, and we have a strategy to shop around to get you the best coverage at the lowest possible price. I think I've covered our offerings, so I'm going to zip it through real quick. But I mean, we are, as I said, we do benefit advisory, we help with retirement planning, we do personal lines like auto, home, medical, life, and annuities. On the commercial, we do group health and business insurance. So today we talk about business insurance, but we do group health as well, and that is one of our flagship service. Like I said, who we are, we've been in the business in 2006. It's a family-owned business. We have $3 million gross written premium, and we are growing. We are servicing clients in technology, consulting, and retail businesses. So our main clientele is, like I was talking about, demographics, right? So our main clientele is service business, technology consulting companies, retail industries. This is our 70% of clientele is. I mean, we do have clients in a lot of other verticals, but if we see the core DNA, we provide solutions to the service business, we provide business to the consulting business, and then we provide service to the retail business. And we've been serving small and mid-sized customers in 6 states. And I think the slide represents State Auto, Kaiser, RPS, Starmark, Allstate, Anthem, Athene, AIG, like these are some of the partners. We have like more partners that we could not fit in this slide, but we work with all the key players. So with that said, I mean, we have 20 minutes and I want to take a pause and see if anybody's got any questions.
So Pathak ji, this is Durga here. Thank you for walking us through this session, I guess. Going back to the risk that you mentioned about, like, various types of insurance claims, and then there are various types of policies. So for a technology consulting services of a LLC less than 10 members, what type of professional liability and workers' compensation insurance would you suggest? Any ballpark, how much would it cost?
So I think cost part is very different, and I think so. Let me just drop back and say this is a 10 people, IT consulting company or a staffing company, right? So you will require a business liability insurance. You will definitely require an error and omission insurance. And I think these are to the ground level insurance. You definitely need this to write any contracts. I think if you're doing a business with some big company, they enforce cyber and crime insurances as well, for sure. Now, and I think if you own a vehicle that belongs to a company, you probably require to have a business auto insurance. So this is called a BOP package, business operational package. And these are the products you need to have. Now, a lot of times we have seen the limits, like what should be your error and omission limit, and then this limits are usually tied with your annual revenue. A lot of times annual revenues don't matter, because a lot of times what happens is that you are doing a business with a bigger company and they come back and tell you, hey, you need to have your business policy limits to be this, your error and omission policy to be this, your cyber policy limits to be this, because what they do is that they offload all their liabilities to the smaller businesses. So it can vary from $1,000 to your premium to be probably $2,500. I don't know, because there are a lot of equations. If everybody's working in Virginia, it's cheaper. If you have Virginia, Maryland, and New York, then it's higher. So I mean, there's no garden variable, but that is one of the segments we understand very, very well. So I can tell you that we can take you to certain carriers, like a CNA is one of the insurance carrier who specialize in writing this risk. So we are the premier partners of CNA in Northern Virginia, and you'll find our information on the CNA website as well, because so our value proposition is, we know which company writes what kind of risk. CNA probably your best bet. So I don't know if I answered your question or provided you a required guidance, but it's like a different for different businesses, but we understand this whole space very well.
Yeah, thank you. I was about to ask the follow-up questions. One was, how about cyber liability? And the second thing is, what if the employees are spread across the states, not just in DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia? What if they are in New York, or in California, or in Texas? So these insurance may vary, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, because you probably, like, for example, workers' compensation, right? Worker compensation laws are different in New York versus, Virginia. So as you add more states in your policy, your cost goes up high, or maybe cost goes down in certain cases. Like if you have somebody in Arizona versus Virginia, it's probably cheaper. So laws are different in different states. So worker compensation varies. And similarly, your business liability probably remains the same, your error and omission remains the same, but your workers' compensation does have it. I think one thing I want to tell, which something we have experienced in our business, companies, they hire people in California, and then a lot of times they forget to change their workers' compensation policy. And if there is an event and you really don't have a California coverage, or your HR process is not solidified, that creates a big risk gap. So, I mean, in one of this consulting environment where people move from places to places, to project, it is, irrespective of it, is very important to make sure that your policies are updated accordingly. And this, a lot of companies miss that.
Okay, thank you. So, Chaitanya Garu, any questions?
Well, let's ask the audience if they have questions.
One question, Pathak. This is Mahipal. For a real estate sole proprietor company, what kind of coverages do you recommend?
So, I mean, the real estate sole proprietor, meaning you have a company that owns the real estate for renting?
No, for a realtor, like I'm a real estate agent, so I'm only the sole proprietor having my own company.
Yeah, so I think so let's go back to the risk. Like the risk, realtor is basically a service company, right? So you definitely need to have a very good error and omission policy. If it's a sole proprietor LLC incorporated, you need a business liability for sure.
Okay.
On top of that, I think cyber liability, I highly recommend. It's not required, but it's not very expensive to own. But that is something I recommend to most of the realtors, because this is something looking into the hindsight. As a realtor, they have access to very, not PII, but very financial data of their customers. If for some reason you get hacked, you need something to cover that risk. So for a realtor, I would highly recommend to get you a cyber policy. It doesn't cost that much, but with increasing, cyber crime, and I think being realtor, having access to, very sensitive, financial data, it is highly, highly recommended to have a cyber liability policy on top of what you have.
Yeah, thank you. It makes sense, because we have even the personal information, state of birth. Yeah, it really makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Any other questions from anyone? Let me ask a question while we wait for others. Parthaji, so when you said somebody has moved to a different state, or some project started, employee goes there, etc., is there a quick way to add them to a binder if you have a policy, so that you can add them and then figure out what the changes need to be done?
Yes, I mean, so I think, let me take it back. So there are like a mid-sized businesses, right? There are two types of policies. One, we call it a blanket coverage.
Mm-hmm.
The blanket means, you make sure your workers' compensation accounts for these type of changes. So if you have a 50 employees and they're constantly moving, a lot of companies cannot keep track of that. So that's a blanket addendum that is available, that you can add to your policy for additional cost. But what it gives you is that it gives you a worry free, that even if somebody goes to Hawaii, you really don't have to implement those administrative processes to constantly change it. I think generally there is 30 to 60-day grace period depending on the state to amend the policy. So even if you don't have a blanket policy, you got like some time to do that. What I was alluding to that is that a lot of small businesses with limited resources, their processes usually drop this. They like, okay, somebody moved there, I make sure their relocation is in place. But a lot of operations, or HR people don't really think from the risk point of view that somebody moving state can have also risk on the business.
Right. Thank you. That's a good way to address it. Yep. Any other questions from the audience?
Parth, this is Partha. Hope you know me. So I know this is completely a business one, related one. So just curious, like, are you going to help with the individual also, like in retirement insurance and all those stuff?
Yes. I mean, we do help individuals. So we have two types of verticals. One today was total business. I didn't bring it. So individual side, we do provide, auto, home, and especially retirement or financial consultation services. For individuals also, we have all like retirement planning, but I mean, we more focus on financial planning, not only retirement planning. And there are a lot of different strategies, like long-term care comes into the play, like how if you need to require a long-term care. So your simple answer is yes, there are a lot of different options, and we have Hiral takes care of most of that.
Okay, and this includes even the 529 plans also.
Yes, it includes the 529 plans also. We do two types of 529s. Virginia 529. Actually, see, if you want to enroll on 529, right, you really don't need an our financial service advisor. I think our value comes into is, should we take a national plan or should we take Virginia specific plan? And what are our 529 needs? What should be the right number for me?
Right, it's a guidance. Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else?
Last chance. Any other questions from the audience? All right. I think we are going to wrap it up. Thanks again, everybody, for joining, taking the time this evening and joining the call. What we will do is we will post this session that is recorded to one of the sites, and we'll send out a link, and it'll include definitely Mr. Parth G's details that you see on the screen, including his email ID and telephone number, etc. Please reach out to him for individual or business insurance and other needs, as he eloquently presented today. We want to thank him on behalf of CATS for being a sponsor, as well as coming and doing this community service, educating them on what options exist for business insurance this evening. Parthaji, thank you very, very much. Of course, I want to thank two more people at least this evening. As always, NRI Streams has been an incredible partner. We can't just thank enough. They have been, rock solid, helping CATS with all these sessions throughout the year. Very, very, very heartfelt thanks to NRI Streams. And of course, Durga Garu, with, of course, you had lots of guidance and team and other stuff behind you, but definitely you put in a lot of time and effort into this. Thank you very, very much for getting this session done. Thank you all. Good night. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.